This isn't a rumor.
This isn't some overhyped social media post.
This is real. Alberta just made it official. The independence vote is happening on July 19th. Yes, you heard that right, Alberta. The economic engine of Canada is about to decide whether it will stay or walk away. And Ottawa, it's under more pressure than ever before. How did we get here? This story didn't start overnight. For years, decades, even the people of Alberta have felt overlooked, dismissed, and economically exploited by the federal government. Carbon taxes,
Blocked pipelines, unfair funding formulas, one frustration after another. And now Alberta is saying, enough is enough. This vote isn't just political.
It's a declaration. We decide our future, not Ottawa. July 9th. More than a vote. It's a moment in historically 9th won't just be remembered as a day Alberta held a vote. It could go down in history as the moment Canada changed forever. At first glance, it may appear to be a regular referendum, another democratic exercise in provincial self-determination. But make no mistake, what's unfolding in Alberta is no ordinary civic event. It is a high-stakes political showdown, a defining moment that will echo far beyond provincial borders. The question on the ballot may seem simple. Should Alberta remain a province of Canada, or begin the process of becoming an independent nation? But behind that question lies decades of frustration, economic tension, and regional alienation. Alberta, long seen as Canada's economic powerhouse due to its oil wealth, has often felt overlooked or worse, exploited by federal decision-makers
In Ottawa, and now, after years of simmering discontent, the people of Alberta are being given a voice.
a real voice, a loud, potentially nation-shaking voice. On July 9th, polling stations will open across cities, towns, and rural communities. Turnout is expected to be historic, not just because of the stakes, but because Albertans feel this is finally their moment to be heard, and the world is watching. The world watches a province on the edge across Canada, and far beyond. This vote is sparking heated debate, speculation, and even anxiety. Major media outlets from the US, UK, and Europe
Have dispatched correspondents to Calgary, Edmonton,
and Red Deer. Headlines from Berlin to Boston read, Canadian unity at risk. Alberta considers independence. Business leaders are on high alert. Investors are jittery. Economists are crunching scenarios. Diplomats are sending classified cables to their governments. Why? Because Alberta isn't just any province. It's the third largest by population. It holds the country's largest proven oil reserves.
its GDP rivals that of entire countries. If Alberta secedes, it doesn't just shift Canada's political map, it shatters economic forecasts, realigns trade partnerships, and raises a fundamental
question. Can a G7 country survive the peaceful exit of a province the size of Alberta? Even within Canada's borders, the ripple effects are already being felt. Ottawa under siege. Pressure mounts inside Canada's capital. The mood is tense.
What was once dismissed as Western posturing is now being treated like a five-alarm
fire. Parliament Hill is abuzz. Behind closed doors, emergency sessions are being held late into the night. Leaked memos from within the Prime Minister's office suggest deep divisions about how to respond, with some urging restraint, while others are calling for legal intervention, according to one insider familiar with the situation. If Alberta votes yes, we're looking at a constitutional crisis unlike anything Canada has faced since the days of Quebec separatism. Only this time, it's the West rising, not the East. The federal government faces a triad of impossible choices. Declare the vote unconstitutional and risk inflaming tensions even more. Ignore the vote and hope it fizzles, a dangerous game of political chicken. Engage directly with Alberta's leaders, acknowledging their grievances and possibly beginning the process of negotiation. Each option carries massive consequences, legal, political, and emotional, for Prime Minister Trudeau and his cabinet. July 9th is shaping up to be more than just a challenge. It could define their legacy. Why now? The roots of Alberta's rebellion. To understand why this vote is happening, you have to go back, way back. For decades, many Albertans have felt like the forgotten middle child of the Canadian Federation. Despite contributing billions in energy revenues to the national coffers, they say they've received little in return from federal energy policies viewed as hostile to pipelines, to what some see as wealth redistribution through equalization payments. Alberta's frustrations have been steadily building, and then came the turning points, the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, the passage of Bill C-69,
dubbed the No More Pipelines Bill by critics, pandemic-era restrictions that clashed with Alberta's values of individual freedom, skyrocketing cost of living concerns paired with what some view as Ottawa's slow response to inflation. All these moments didn't just spark political debates, they ignited a movement that now believes the only solution is independence. The streets speak. Voices from both sides. We spoke to dozens of Albertans across the province. What we found was a region divided but deeply passionate. We want to control our resources, our taxes, our future.
We're tired of being dictated to by people thousands of miles away who don't understand Alberta. This vote is reckless.
We're stronger together.
Canada is not perfect, but walking away won't fix anything, it'll just create chaos. This isn't about hate or division. It's about fairness,
about finally getting
our due. Even younger voters, who historically lean towards national unity, are split. One university student told us, "I never thought I'd consider voting yes for separation, but after watching my parents struggle, seeing job losses in the oil sector, and hearing politicians in Ottawa dismiss our concerns, I get it now, beyond Alberta." The domino effect. This isn't just Alberta's story. In neighbouring Saskatchewan, conversations are intensifying.
There are whispers that if Alberta leaves, Saskatchewan might follow. In British Columbia, some are watching nervously, wondering how West Coast trade routes might be impacted. Even in Ontario and Quebec, where talk of separation usually begins
and ends with French language debates, there is quiet concern. After all, if Alberta succeeds, what's to stop another province from testing the boundaries of confederation? One political analyst put it bluntly, Alberta's vote could open
Pandora's box.
If the federation no longer feels sacred, anything is possible.
A nation at a crossroad as this vote forces every Canadian to reflect. What does it mean to be Canadian? Is it a flag, a passport, a shared set of values? Or is it simply a bureaucratic arrangement held together by mutual convenience until
that convenience fades?
Alberta's referendum is not just a question for Albertans. It is a mirror held up to the entire country. A
mirror begins as the day draws closer. The energy is palpable. Town halls are packed. Radio stations buzz with callers. Social media is ablaze with hashtags like #YesAlberta and #StandWithCanada. And in living rooms, coffee shops, and truck stops across Alberta, people are having the hardest conversation of all. What happens if we say yes? Some dream of a new Alberta Republic, one with its own currency, its own passport, its own voice on the world stage. Others fear economic collapse, loss of international credibility, and the unraveling of 150 years of shared history. Whatever
the outcome, one thing is certain. The vote on July 9th will mark a before and after in Canadian politics. Final thoughts. The eyes of a nation to the rest of Canada. Don't underestimate what's happening here. This is not a bluff.
Not a stunt. Not just another protest vote. This is real. A people are rising. A province is deciding. And the future of an entire country hangs in the balance. On July 9th, ballots will be cast, but history will be written. So, where do you stand? With unity, with independence, or somewhere in between?
Because no matter where you live,
this story will reach your doorstep. Canada is changing, and Alberta just lit the fuse. WHAT if Alberta becomes independent. The unthinkable might be closer than you think. Let's suspend disbelief for just a moment. Close your eyes and envision the Canadian map without Alberta. No Edmonton. No Calgary. No Fort McMurray under the Canadian flag. No Alberta oil
flowing under Ottawa's control. No provincial borders, because Alberta would no longer be a province at all. It would be a nation. Yes, a sovereign nation. The birth of a nation.
It sounds radical, extreme, even like something you'd hear in a political fiction novel or a late-night radio show.
But it's not fiction.
This isn't a drill.
This is real, and it's happening now, July 19th. That's the date etched in history. The day Albertans will walk into voting booths and cast ballots that could ignite the most dramatic political shift in modern Canadian history. Not a new premier, not a new law, not a budget amendment, but a new country.
The roots of rebellion. See, this didn't happen overnight. This storm has been brewing for decades. The sentiment of Western alienation, The feeling that Alberta's voice is ignored in Ottawa's halls of power has been simmering under the surface for years, some say since the National Energy Program of the 1980s, when Alberta's oil wealth was siphoned off to subsidize the rest of the country. To many Albertans, it wasn't just about policy. It was about betrayal. Today, that betrayal has transformed into resistance, and resistance has now become a movement. From ranchers and oil workers to young voters and retired veterans, they're asking, why should we send billions to Ottawa when our roads crumble? Why follow immigration policies we didn't write? Why let our natural resources be regulated by people thousands of kilometers away? Why not go our own way? A flag without a nation, or a nation with a new flag? So let's break it down. If Alberta goes independent, what exactly changes? More than you can imagine. Currency. Would Alberta adopt the Canadian dollar? Or introduce the Alberta sovereign note? Experts warn that without a central bank and years of financial preparation, the transition could be chaotic. Inflation, possible. Economic volatility, almost certain at least in the short term. Borders and immigration. Suddenly, what used to be provincial highways may become international borders. Will Albertans need passports to enter Saskatchewan? Will foreign embassies be established in Calgary? And most critically, who gets to stay and who doesn't? Trade and oil deals. Alberta is the beating heart of Canada's energy sector. Pipelines, oil sands, drilling, it's the powerhouse of the West. But if Alberta becomes its own country, those oil deals become foreign affairs. Would the US recognize Alberta as a trade partner? Would BC or Quebec allow pipelines to cross their land anymore? Defense and military. Would Alberta build its own army, a national guard, a defense force to patrol its new borders? Would it negotiate with NATO, the UN, who protects Alberta from foreign threats, or even internal instability? Healthcare and pensions. Would seniors still get CBP checks? Would Alberta create its own healthcare program, or privatize it entirely? Would education remain free? Would taxes rise or fall? These aren't hypotheticals anymore. These are real questions being debated in real town halls by real people. Economists are sounding the Anna Macro Space Street and Wall Street. Economists are starting to pay attention. Not just because of oil, but because of instability. If Alberta separates, the ripple effect will be enormous, said one top economic analyst. It won't just shake Alberta. It'll shake the entire continent. Foreign investors are already cautious. Businesses are asking, should we stay? Should we pull out? Should we move our headquarters? Meanwhile, Ottawa braces for something it hasn't faced since Quebec's last independence referendum in 1995, a potential fracture in the very core of the nation. Will Canada remain whole? Let's not sugarcoat it. If Alberta exits, the impact on Canadian unity could be catastrophic. Quebec might ask, if Alberta left, why can't we? BC might decide, we can do better alone. Even Saskatchewan could be pulled into Alberta's orbit. The map of Canada, so familiar, might begin to look like a puzzle with its pieces falling apart. The vote isn't just about politics. It's about identity. This is more than a referendum. It's a question of who we are. Are Albertans Canadians? Or are they Albertans first? Do they want reform or revolution? This isn't about left or right. It's about something much deeper. Belonging. Families are split. Friendships are being tested. Community halls are full of passionate debates. And for many, this vote isn't just political, it's personal. The moment of truth has arrived, so here we are. The countdown is ticking. Days, hours, moments away from a vote that could define the next century. Wherever you are, whether you live in Edmonton, Toronto, Vancouver, or even outside Canada, this vote will impact you. Because when a province threatens to become a country, the world watches. Markets shift, borders tremble, diplomats scramble, and citizens decide. July 9th won't just be a date. It will be a decision point. A line in the sand, a before and after. You are not a spectator, you are history in motion. Let's be clear. This isn't just about politics. This is about power, voice, legacy. This is about you, because no matter which side you are on, pro-independence or pro-unity, this moment belongs to all of us. You're not just observing history. You're writing it. You're shaping it. You're voting in it. When future generations look back at this chapter, when